it's for real, we don't know how to act. Yeah, I'm pointing out facts. If I point a finger, that's point of attack. Good point, who's next? Flag on the plate, now I'm causing them dead. We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A die-hard fan, never live with regret. Yes, sir. Go to my neck. Burgundy flex. Who wants the smoke? We bringing it home. Beat my gas. Look how we step. Who we got next? Step on the right, step on the left. Who do we rep? Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Left side. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Right in the middle. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? High off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feed the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
Welcome, one and all across the nation and around the world. I welcome you all to the first ever edition of the Washington Commanders Gridiron Report. I am your host, Drew Willingham, here to bring you the latest and greatest when it comes to the action of the Washington Commanders. This is the first episode that we have done, the first episode I've done of a Washington franchise of this magnitude when it comes to an actual podcast in about 3 years. So it took me a while to get back into it, come up with a good name, and find a pretty good home to bring it to. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take this into the 1st and 10, and I'll explain that to you here in just a second.
They are the Washington Commanders. New name, new marks, new uniform.
Soldiers, are we ready for Operation Burgundy?
And here in the 1st and 10, where we're going to talk about why this show was created and the overview of its future. Back in 2020, I had a show called Hail to the Red Zone, was where I talked about this franchise, and you can find that on Legacy Maker Sports Network. Did a few episodes, and of course, we were in the pandemic. We didn't even know if we were going to have football, so I shut that down for a while. Took a break from podcasting, went back into my In or Out sports debate show, which I just hit 100 episodes of, and I was doing that for a while. Kind of got in a rhythm with that. Kind of didn't even think about doing the Washington show for quite some time until about a few months ago. Got the wild hair thinking, I missed covering just an entire show talking about the Commanders and also having a way to bring in different insiders for the team who work for different networks, some who will be teammates of my own within the entities that I'm with as well, to sit here, talk about the Washington Commanders, the ups, the downs, the in-betweens of this team. Now, to talk about those teammates that I have, and you can see them in the intro, A7BN Sports, got to give a shout out to Kyle Nash and the captain over at A7BN Sports for allowing this to be on their Facebook page streaming live right now, along with Joe Cardoso and everyone at Team MBS Media who have this streaming live right now on YouTube. And I also have to flex a little bit for Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome, which you can find this on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, you name it. It's there. I'm here. We're here. Let's go. We are here for 1st and 10. And the overview of this show's future is it's not going anywhere. I'm going to have it here each and every week, especially during the NFL season. Now, off season, do some coverage as well. Can't guarantee it'll be every single week during the off season, but we are about to get to week 1. I got some analysis for you, and we're going to get to it today. But before we can get to that, we have to go to the next segment, which I like to call the Showstopper.
High off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feed the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
And here with the Showstopper, today's topic, it's pretty much like our main topic is what I like to call the Showstopper, and one I'll probably spend the most time talking about, and that is the $40 million in upgrades that would be, going on at FedEx Field. They're going on right now. They've been going on to get us ready for the week 1 and beyond of the season. Now, what do $40 million mean for the upgrades there at FedEx Field? What it means is there's no more poopy water going onto the fans, because I remember, you might not have been the ones that were sitting there, but there was leaky poopy water going onto our fans. And we have got a sold-out crowd at this field for the first time, and I can't even remember how long. Why? Because Danny Snyder was the owner, and nobody wanted to go see the dumpster Pelicans play at FedEx Field. We wanted to see the Washington franchise play there. formerly known as the REDSKINS. We did not want to see dumpster pelicans and then get treated like dumpster pelicans as fans when we have poopy water getting dumped onto us when we're watching it in the stands. So yes, it was necessary for these $40 million in upgrades to be made because you still have a lot in limbo right now. Dan Snyder went and purchased that property in Dumfries, Virginia not too long ago before, I wouldn't say before, but while the debacle of trying to get him ousted from his position was going on. So you still all have all that in limbo. Then you got the leaky poopy water going on to the fans. Somewhere in between, you got to meet in the middle and get yourself ready for some football because it's coming up on you, and it's coming up on you fast. So what did you do? You did $40 million in upgrades to a stadium that's barely just a little over 25 years old and has been falling apart. It kind of reminds me of a Ryan home. If you live in a Ryan home, or if you've ever been in somebody's home that is a Ryan home, they're made kind of like how FedEx Field is made, where it's just falling apart real easy after a short amount of construction. So $40 million in upgrades, necessary for you, necessary for me, for all of us to go there and attend a game as a fan or in media, wherever you're at. Now, I will say this. Working in the media room over at FedEx Field, I don't have any complaints. They take care of the media very well over there. I cannot say anything but good things about that, especially up until last year, because the last time I was there was October of last year covering a game. Still working on getting back in for this year, hoping that becomes a reality at some point. But, fingers crossed. Just going to keep working diligently out here to get things done for this. And also I write articles as well for Team MBS Media, which you can find on teammbsmedia.com. Now back to this. When it comes to $40 million in upgrades, very, very vital for this team's success because you need upgrades all around, not just where the poopy water's leaking on you. You need it within the clubhouse as well. So it wasn't all spent in just one area of the stadium. It was spent all around the facilities in order to make things much greater for everyone involved. When you got someone like Magic Johnson involved, because I did just talk about earlier, Dan Snyder being in there before and causing all the ruckus that he caused before, you now got to think that you got Magic Johnson in there. And Magic Johnson, wherever he has gone, whether it's been a player in basketball and then an owner in multiple sports, and in the most recent championship he got was with the Dodgers. This man has won wherever he is mother, father, and been. He has been a champion as a player, as an owner. And if you are a fan of this franchise, because more than likely you are if you're watching this show right now, a die-hard fan, you have got to be excited about Magic Johnson being an owner or part of the ownership group within this team, because it's only going to mean better things for the future. Am I going to sit here and tell you we're going to the Super Bowl? No, we are not going to the Super Bowl this year. Get real. Let's just stay on the reality track, okay? The Jets have a better chance of going to the Super Bowl this year than the Commanders do, but we are not even going to get into that. If you want to see my take on that, and especially talking about Captain Ayahuasca, Aaron Rodgers, go check out Total Football Talk. It airs on Tuesdays on Sertoba Media. Now, back to here. The showstopper, $40 million in upgrades. Major, major news for this team, for you and me, and for the players involved as well. Before we go too much further, I want to take this into a quick commercial break, and then when we come on back, we'll take it into the Burgundy Flex review. I got some things to talk to you about when it comes to that. We'll see you here in just a few minutes.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Yeah. But hey, that was last year. And what did he was out.
Right. And now he's in.
But he's been out for an entire year. It's not, you can't think he's going to make the same impact that he did before he was suspended.
I'm telling you, he won't have to.
What?
See how
Is he going to keep his phone down and not make bets?
Come
on, man.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $ DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. Slide some Willie Bucks.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Welcome back to a show where we have just as many commercials as a TNT broadcast, the Sports Senseis Unleashed.
I hate you, Drew.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
The following is a presentation of Sertoba Media and Comey Media Incorporated.
Commanders, where my soldiers? Right side. Commanders, where my soldiers? Left side.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Commander's Gridiron Report. I am Drew Willingham, and we just went through our first commercial break. And now, since we are back and you have survived that commercial break, I want to take it to the Burgundy Flex review and go over a little bit of this action with you.
Go to my neck, Burgundy flex. Pour the smoke, we bringing it home. Be like that.
And here with the Burgundy Flex review, how long of a leash does Riverboat Ron have before Eric Bieniemy gets an opportunity at head coach for the Commanders? You know, that's a very good question. It's such a hard question. It's hard for me to even answer in this moment. Now, when you put that all in perspective and you think about Eric Bieniemy, Ron Rivera, and what has gone on so far during this offseason and preseason training camp sessions, we've had players come out talking about, oh, Eric is a little too hard on us, Ron. We need you to step in and talk to him so he can not upset us anymore. And then basically, you've got everyone else out here telling them that they need to stop being snowflakes and get the job done, because you needed someone like Eric to come in here and be tough. It'd be tough on you, because apparently if you got somebody who has won not one, but 2 Super Bowls within the past half a decade, we'll say. In the past half decade, this man has won 2 Super Bowls. Yes, as an assistant coach, wasn't pulling the full strings, wasn't really an assistant head coach over in Kansas City, even though maybe some would argue that, but Andy Reid has got the entire reins of that organization under his thumb. I mean, he runs everything. So Eric had power probably, but not as much as he has now. Has a little bit more flex in the Burgundy Flex, which is why this is the actual segment it is under when it comes to the flex and the flex. When you think about Eric coming in, he's just doing the type of format that he had and the blueprint that he had over in Kansas City, and it worked very, very, very well. And, you know, if you are a new ownership group who's definitely been a fan of this team like Josh Harris and tired of seeing the snowflake-esque type of work that this team has done throughout the past couple of decades, especially under Dan Snyder's tenure, of course you're going to want to have a little bit more toughness coming in there. And this guy was even hired before you even totally took over the team and actually, you know, the purchase fully went through. So this is a situation where you are an ownership inheriting someone you didn't hire. So you're going to want to try to impress them by making the most impact. And Eric has made that kind of impact, and it's definitely showing in how this preseason has been going so far. Before we go any further with it, we got some comments from the fans so far in the chat. We got Sick Diggy in the house. Says, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a show that brings the pain worse than Method Man in 95. Absolutely. And I love that, Sick. And you know what? I'm going to give you this. Along with this.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
All right. Now back to the comments. We've got Sick saying, I've got my offensive coordinator hat on, baby. That's exactly right. You definitely do. And we got Ike in the house saying, yo, Sick, followed by what's up. And he's loving the intro right here as well. Sick Diggy says, what's good, Ike? How have you been? They're communicating back here in the chat. As far as the $40 million of renovations go, I'd like to know who's in control of the budget. Who are the cost accountants in charge of those accounts? It's a very good question, Sick. I didn't do that much research into it, but it is a very good question. But $40 million in renovations is what has been reported and what's been going on over at FedEx Field. There's a clear difference between a shot in the arm and a baseball bat to the shoulder. Yes, absolutely. Great point to that, because it hurts. It hurts when you get a shot in the arm. It hurts worse when you get a shot in the shoulder with the baseball bat. I don't know. Maybe what type of shot are you talking about? Like an actual shot at the doctor, like a shot by a firearm, or just somebody like assaulting you type of shot? There's like 3 different type of shots out there. Which one is it, Sick? Let us know here in the comments. We'll get back to that after we go over a little bit more review. But back to the leash that Riverboat Ron has. It's very short. There's 2 teams in the NFC East where we got head coaches that have leashes on them that aren't that long. They're very short. Ron Rivera in Washington, and then you've got Mike McCarthy in Dallas, because both of them have had issues at the head coaching position for many years. You can go and argue that Washington hasn't had the greatest of coaching since Joe Gibbs was there and left for his second tenure. He was there from 04 to 07 and left. Now, of course, he has circumstances why he left. From that 04 to 07 tenure, he was older. Football, the game itself, was a lot different the second time he came around. He also had NASCAR, the ownership, and the death of Sean Taylor and the way everything transpired with that weighed very heavily on him. He's spoken about that publicly a little bit, but you can also kind of read the room and just tell that was a big part of it. When it comes to all of that, though, and thinking about the leash that this man has, Ron Rivera does have a Super Bowl appearance as a head coach. He has that, along with, Mike McCarthy in Dallas has a Super Bowl appearance and won one as well, in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Oh, Captain Ayahuasca. But when it comes to Ron Rivera, he didn't win one. And he was carried there by Cam Newton. And if it wasn't for Cam Newton being on that franchise, that team would not have gone to the Super Bowl. Ron Rivera would not have as many opportunities as he had following that Super Bowl. He wouldn't have even been in Carolina as a head coach as long as he was, and definitely wouldn't have even made it to Washington. This is Ron Rivera's final act as a head coach this year, unless it becomes some type of magical season and this team goes on a run and makes the playoffs and wins a game and gets to the division round and possibly wins that too. But I don't see that happening. I don't see that being potentially sound for this team this year. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We'll see. But that's just how I view it at this current moment. Sick comes back with one is helpful and the other could be counterproductive. That's what I mean. Absolutely. That's definitely a good take with that there, Sick Diggy. Keep the comments coming, you guys. I'll definitely acknowledge them as we keep going here in the show. Especially let us know here when it comes to the Eric Bieniemy and Ron Rivera situation, what your thoughts are when it comes to that. Any coaching staff needs to understand the importance of the city's mentality as well as the team. How do they get the players on board with their playing scheme? Hey, when it comes to the team's mentality, when you look at it, they've barely been fielding, the seats. The seats have barely had people in them over the past couple of years because of the entire debacle between the name change, the ownership. This first upcoming game this week 1, is going to be the first time that this team is sold out in very, very long time, especially a week 1 game. So when you think about the fact that FedEx Field is going to be sold out, it still baffles me. Like, I'm not 100% soaked it in yet that this team has a sold out game for week 1. I'm excited about it, and I know that everybody else who's a part of it is excited for it as well. But will it be enough? Will this hype be enough to keep Ron Rivera there? I don't think so. I really don't, because you got to be able to show up and shell out during these moments when they happen. And will he be able to do that? He hasn't fully proven it to me yet. And this is his literal final act this year. Let us know here in the comments, guys, what you think. And we will revisit that at some point. But now it is time to take it to the opponent of the week, where we talk about this week's matchup.
Look how we step. Who we got next? Step on the right, step on the left. Who do we rep?
And this week, the Commanders have the Arizona Cardinals. And the Arizona Cardinals come to town. This Arizona Cardinals team, they've had their own tale of woes as well. You got Kyler Duty, who I call him Kyler Duty instead of Kyler Murray, because he likes to spend more time playing Call of Duty than watching film and learning how to become the quarterback that he should be. Had he watched more film, had he practiced a little bit better, maybe he wouldn't be getting banged up so much. Maybe he would make smarter moves, and maybe he wouldn't get knocked out of these contests. It wouldn't be sidelined and unable to do what he's supposed to do. And even if he is in there, he's still not doing what he's supposed to. This week, you are at FedEx Field, a sold-out crowd. You got the hype of what I just talked about when it comes to Riverboat Ron and if he's going to stay the entire season or not, or even beyond the season. You got Eric B., the assistant head coach, ready to take over the reins and take over the job and lead this team into championship stature. Maybe, maybe not. But this week, you've got the Commanders and the Cardinals at FedEx Field. A game that should be exciting for Washington Commanders fans, because if you're playing Madden right now, you're probably beating the brakes off of the Cardinals with the current status of the Commanders, especially if Sam Howell plays the way he played during the preseason and the way that we thought he could play all along after winning that game against the Cowboys last year in the final game of the season, that you made the wrong call by putting Carson Wentz in just not that long ago and costing us an opportunity at the playoffs. Had you put old Sammy in, you might have had a chance. Had you kept Taylor Heineke in instead of instead of Carson Wentz, you probably would have had an opportunity to still get into the playoffs last year. But now here we are. We're a year later. We've got a new season, a new opportunity, and you made the right call at quarterback. Because when you look at what Sam Howell did, you see it in the intro. You see it in that badass intro that I did for this show, where you got Sam Howell running around, slinging the rock around the field, scoring touchdowns as well. It's in the intro. I'll show you again, but you're just going to have to wait and see it during the outro as well. Or if you're watching this syndicated and you're not watching it live, you can always rewind it back from this part to the intro and see what I'm talking about when you look at what Sam Howell has done during this already preseason and training camp to show Riverboat Ron and everybody else who's affiliated with this franchise and the fans that he is the real man, he is him, and he's ready to show up and shell out for this franchise this year and shut up the haters who have been talking about the fact that, oh, he played for UNC, he played for an ACC team, and they are not historically known for producing great caliber quarterbacks. Well, Sam Howell is about to break the mold and about to prove to you that you absolutely know nothing about him and what his capabilities are. He's going to come in here, he's going to light it up, and he's going to get some awards. Maybe not all this year, but he may get something. You took the Rookie of the Year away from him because you didn't play him that much last year. Had you played him more, maybe he would have earned it, because to me, he earned it during that one game against the Cowboys. I wanted to see him play more, but unfortunately, it was the last game of the year, and we couldn't see him anymore and had to be punished until this upcoming season when we get the opportunity to finally see what this kid has. Now, I could be completely wrong. He may go out there and lay a sophomore slump type of an egg during week 1 and throughout this preseason. He could get mollywopped all season, but is that going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. Sam Howell is not going to get mollywopped. He is going to go out there and sling the rock. Terry McLaurin is dealing with a little bit of a turf toe issue right now, but he's going to shake it off, even if it is beyond week 1. And he's going to show up and show out too and score. You got Bieniemy Brown. You got greatness there as well when it comes to the wide receiver core, when it comes to the cohesion. Not saying that Bieniemy Brown is great, but between the core of this wide receiver group, they're gelling pretty well. I like what I'm seeing during this group of guys during the preseason. The only thing that's still kind of a question mark with me is the tight end position, because you got Bates, and of course we already know what we've been going with Logan Thomas over the years and his inability to stay healthy. I feel like the only thing that's really going to throw a curveball at this team on the offensive side, besides the offensive line, is consistency. We got to see if they can stay consistent. We really need to see something out of the tight end position, and they may need to make an upgrade with that during this offseason. That may be the position that holds this team back at some point when it comes to, what the capabilities are when it comes to tight end, because you need a multifaceted guy at that position when it comes to blocking and pass catching ability as well, to be able to mingle on both aspects of what the offense does. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of play we get out of that position, not just in week 1, but beyond that as well. So that's going to be the one thing I'm going to be looking at, is the offensive line and the in the tight end position during this first week's matchup. We got a couple comments. Let's take a look at those real quick. Well, mainly just one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a show where Eric Bieniemy needs to hit more attitude adjustments than John Cena. You can't see Eric B. No way, fools. Absolutely. When it comes to that, Sick, you definitely crushed it with that one. And you know what? This is like that moment. This is like that moment when this guy came up here and said this.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Because that's how I feel about that when it comes to that. Guys, we're going to take one more commercial break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the Soldiers of the Week before we go into the final drive. And then we will see you on the other side. Let's go to that commercial break, and we'll see you soon.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Yeah. But, hey, that was last year. And what did he was out.
Right. And now he's in.
But he's been out for an entire year. It's not, you can't think he's going to make the same impact that he did before he was suspended.
I'm telling you, he won't have to.
What?
See how
Is he going to keep his phone down and not make bets?
Come on, man.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $sign DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. How about some Willie Bucks?
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Welcome back to a show where we have just as many commercials as a TNT broadcast, the Sports Senseis Unleashed.
I hate you, Joe.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
The following is a presentation of Sertoba Media and Comey Media Incorporated.
Commanders, where my soldiers? Right side, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers? Left side, left side.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Commanders Gridiron Report. I'm Drew Willingham, and we are back to discuss the final two segments before we segue our way out of here for this first episode of this show. And we just talked about the opponent of the week being the Arizona Cardinals. I didn't really give my full take on there. I did say that they were going to beat the Cardinals, but I have them beating the Cardinals by like 10 points. I'm thinking they're going to beat them 24-14. That's going to be my guess for this one. So we'll see if I'm wrong, if I'm right. Either way, it could be closer. It could be a bigger gap in between that final score, but I still feel like the Commanders are going to take that game. Now, before we go too much further, I want to acknowledge we got another comment in here, and that one is by Stream Elements, where it says, subscribe now and never miss out on new content. Please below, in the link below, click that and subscribe to this channel. As well as Sick Diggy, I'll say it one more time because I really like this comment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a show where Eric Bieniemy needs to hit more attitude adjustments than John Cena. You can't see Eric B. No way, fools. Hopefully I read that better this time for you, Sick, when it comes to that. Now, let's go ahead and take this into the Soldiers of the Week.
Where my soldiers? Right side, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers? Left side, left side.
The Soldiers of the Week is basically a segment where we're going to talk about like our MVPs of the week. And it's a breakdown of the standouts who showed out during the preseason action, because in this case, where we didn't really have a game the week before, this next week, I'll pick like 2 to 3 players who I feel like were a big part of whether it was a win or a loss. And if it's a part of a loss, then it could be the 3 that had a biggest reason why they got the loss. So either way, I'm still going to work with that. But for this one, we're going to talk about who played the biggest impact during the season and the preseason. And in this case, it's a variety of people because not everybody plays during the preseason. You make some moves to get ready for the start of the season. And in some cases where you have players sitting out. On the defensive side, the defensive line was impacted the most during the preseason because you had Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Deron Payne, and Jonathan Allen sitting out the entire preseason, okay, and not playing, because you want to get them healthy and get them ready for the start of the season. But this defensive line is going to be the biggest impact of that defense because there's been questions at the secondary positions for quite some time. But the defensive line has been what their strongest capabilities have been since pretty much the pandemic started. And you picked up Chase Young and you had Deron Payne. The biggest departure from this past offseason was Cole Holcomb. I really like Cole Holcomb. I wish he would have stuck around or had the ability to stick around because I feel like he's going to make a pretty good impact for those Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and they could have something brewing up very special in Pittsburgh. It'd be pretty cool if these two franchises can get together and you've got Pittsburgh representing the AFC and Washington representing the NFC in a Super Bowl at some point. It could happen, but it's going to take a lot of work from both franchises to put in business-wise to get their teams ready to get that far in the NFL, because there are 32 teams, and they got to go through the rest of the other 30 in order to get to that spot at the top of the food chain. Now, when it comes to the preseason and who are my top soldiers of the preseason, I'd have to say that Sam Howell has got to be at the top of that list. That rocket arm that kid has, the accuracy. He's also got some legs, too, some wheels, something that Carson Wentz didn't have. When you think about Carson Wentz, and I said this all last season on different shows that I was on, along with my main one with the In-N-Out Sports Debate, I was up there talking about the fact that Carson Wentz did something that not many people had the ability to do, and that is snap both ankles in one play. Not one, but both of his ankles in one play. What good are you if you don't have your wheels to keep you upright, along with good knees and good legs to keep you upright to get the ball around the field, whether it's by running or by passing? You still have to be able to stand up straight in order to move anyway. So that's what his problem was. We don't have that problem with Sam Howell. Sam Howell, at the very young age, not even in his mid-20s, is smarter than Carson Wentz was. Carson Wentz proved to be a scrub, and had he not gotten hurt, which I don't wish any type of health injury on anybody, but I don't think the Eagles would have won the Super Bowl that year had Carson Wentz stayed throughout that entire season, even though that was the best season of his career. He played pretty good and well, okay? However, when the big moments were there, he couldn't come through, and he proved it time in, time out. And when you think about it all then, and you think about it all now, it was the best for everyone to get him out of there over this past offseason because you needed a fresh start. You saw what Sam Howell could do in that last game of the season, and you saw what he did in his preseason, and you see it in the intro. So when you look at that intro and the things he did there, that was all from just this preseason. So that's why I got to say the Sam Howell's is the top of my list of soldiers of the week. Team MBS Media, let's go. Welcome to the family, Drew, and hello, Commanders fans. Yes, thank you very much for the love. I appreciate it. Rocking and rolling out here in these streets, having fun with this Commanders show. Make sure to subscribe. Yes, down at the below. No matter what platform you're watching this show on, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Well, you're not watching live on Instagram, but LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, whichever platform you're watching this on, please subscribe to the link below. Subscribe to the great platforms of Team MBS Media. Subscribe to Sertoba Media. Subscribe to A7BN Sports. And you can find them all in the links listed in the description down below. How calm is Sam Howell when under pressure? You know, Sick, it's a very good question. And we haven't seen enough of that yet. So I'll at least be, upfront with that and say we have not seen enough of that yet for me to give you a full analysis. However, during the preseason, he's looked pretty well, but you're pretty much playing glorified two-hand touch tackle football. You can even see it in the promo at the beginning of the show when they were playing the Browns. Catches the ball, goes towards the line, and just like bounces right off of him to go in there for the score. Had that been the regular season, there would have been a little bit more impact to it. I still think he would have scored, but it would have been a little bit more of a painful score. Either way, that intro to this show is still a hell of a great one, and I don't do this often, but I am going to flex on that one because I made that intro myself. But when it comes to Sam Howell under pressure, there have been some moments in those highlights because the highlight reel that I found for this intro, there's moments in there where Sam Howell did have some pressure, had to dance around the pocket a little bit. He does have some movement. He does have the agility to get around in the pocket, and you can see where he has had pressure in order to make those plays happen. So, Sick, now that you say that, I'm going to find that clip, and I'm going to send it to you after this show so that way you can see what I'm talking about, because there are a few moments in that 4-minute highlight video where you can tell that he was under pressure. I think it's going to be a little bit more impactful during the season. It's going to take a little bit more adjusting at some points probably for him. He's going to have to get used to some things once the actual regular season gets underway. Here's a thought. Considering we had a discussion regarding pitchers nowadays having the Tommy John surgery more often than before, how many quarterbacks are requiring shoulder surgery? That's a really, really good question because we have seen an increase in quarterbacks that are requiring shoulder surgery. I would say not as much for neck injuries. We've had a few. Peyton Manning was probably one of the more of the elite quarterbacks that's had to deal with something like that. But shoulder injuries are more common than that. And we've seen a lot more quarterbacks having shoulder injuries, that whether they require surgery or not. You can think of Matt Stafford and others who have had shoulder issues, who have had to get adjustments, whether it's during the season or the off season, in order to try to get back. And some of them don't even get back to what they were before the injury even occurred. So that's a very good question, Sick. I really like that one. Very good when it comes to that. When it comes to the rest of the defensive line that I was talking about beforehand, when it comes to last year and thinking about Chase Young, over the past 2 seasons, think about, we've had 16 game seasons up until last year was the first season where we had a 17 game season. So over the past 2 seasons, 33 games during the regular season have taken place. Chase Young's only played in 11 of those. He's missed 22 of those games within the past 33 games. Okay. So when you think about the amount of time that he has played in 11 of 33 games over the past 2 seasons, that is a horrible, horrible stat that is going to make a huge impact on this team, regardless, when you have him as the ace in your hole and the leader of this defense at this point. And especially when it comes to the style of play that he gives, he definitely is considered one of those leaders. And I have to say, if Chase Young stays on that trend, it's going to be a very, very, very hard adjustment for this defense if he keeps missing games. 22 games missed over 2 seasons out of 33 games, playing in only 11. That's tough when you have Chase Young, and it's tough when he has got the clout that he has. You need him in the game. You got to keep him healthy. That's going to be one of the focuses that I have, and he's part of my soldiers of the week when it comes to, we need him to be one of those soldiers of the week when this season starts. He wasn't a soldier of the week for the preseason, but his shadow was a soldier. So that's why I got to give him the soldier of the week. We're going to go ahead and take this into the final drive, and let me know what you think about this badass transition right here.
We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A diehard fan never live with regret. Yes, sir.
That is the final drive, and that's basically where I give you my closing thoughts heading into week 1. As you know, we already basically went through the breakdown analysis. I am just hyped that I finally got this show off the ground as we are here at the closing thoughts. Look at this badass background. Who made that? No, I'm not even going to do all that. I don't want to flex too much. I made it a little bit, but I made all of it. My bad. But anyway, yes, I'm excited to have this show rocking and rolling. Because as I said at the beginning of it, Hail to the Red Zone was my show about the formerly known as the REDSKINS up until 2020. We had the pandemic, and I shut it down just because it's kind of a sad time. Didn't really want to talk about this team. And, the name changed and everything. We went to Washington football team, which I called them the Washington team of football. #WTF is what I called them during that tenure for those 2 years as the Washington football team. Now they are known as the Washington Commanders. And, I couldn't really find a great theme song to have until my man J.KUL put this song up on YouTube, and I'm stumbling around the past week, and I'm looking for something to use, and I took the very old Hail to the REDSKINS theme, and I merged that with this other song that was called We Are Commanders, and it actually sounded pretty okay. It sounded okay, but then when I stumbled upon Burgundy Flex, I was like, this song right here doesn't only talk about the team, but it talks about me, I feel like. And with that, and I listened to it,
the safety just comes up and unloads
to this song. So part of my closing thoughts for going into week 1 is I'm hyped. I'm hyped we got this show off the ground. I am hyped that not only did I find this theme, that the man himself, J.KUL, endorses me using this song, because you thought this show was fire today. You have seen nothing yet. When I have more time to put into this show and to create more fire for this show, you're going to find out real quick how much of a heavy hitter I am out here in these streets. You are going to remember this name. You are going to remember Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome, and you are going to want to put this face on the forefront of your subscriptions to where you get your facts about the Washington Commanders. when it comes to the Washington Commanders, when it comes to the things that we discussed today, I have had one great time with you, and I am so glad that you guys could join me during this live experience today on the Washington Commanders Gridiron Report. My man Cole Johnson is here in the house and says, go ahead and cook, my Total Football Talk brother. And yes, I advertised our show during 2 commercial breaks today, my man. The fans have seen it. They're getting hyped. Episode 1 is now available on Comey Media and Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. Then Cole Sports says, I am happy for you, man. I am happy for you too, bro, because I couldn't have done this without you, and I greatly appreciate everything you've done to have my back out here in these streets. Guys, I am Drew Willingham. You have watched one badass rendition of the first ever edition of the Commanders Gridiron Report. There's only one more thing we have left to do, and that is look at one semi-badass outro. I am Drew Willingham. This is the Commanders Gridiron Report. Everybody have fun and enjoy week 1 this upcoming Sunday. And as always, stay safe out here in these streets.
Rolling, no looking back. My team is for real, we don't know how to act. Yeah, I'm pointing out facts. If I point a finger, that's point of attack. Good point, who's next? Flag on the plate, now I'm causing them dead. We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A die-hard fan, never live with regret. Yes, sir. Go to my neck, go to my neck. Burgundy flex, Burgundy step. Who wants the smoke? We bringing it home.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here. Everybody's have a safe and fun Labor Day. I will see you next week.